When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Why can't every day be like this? No simple road. Yeah, no, I've been on that road too.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to this week's Weekly Rewind. It's Mel.
And Aaron.
And it's Apple, and my Google calendar's messed up.
What are you going to do about it?
Your Google calendar.
It's just annoying.
Fix it, man.
Just sync it.
Try to figure out how to do it later.
Somebody out there help Apple.
With tech work.
Yeah. Oh, hey, by the way, this episode is brought to you in collaboration with Melt Premium Mushroom Chocolates.
That's right. And just in time for Halloween.
That's absolutely true. Candy is a thing, and Melt has you covered with 10 flavors of chocolate bars.
3 flavors of gummies.
And the capsules if you don't want to do any flavoring.
So here's what you do. If you want to get some Halloween candy for yourself, go over to Instagram, follow @MeltMushrooms.
Shoot them a DM.
Yep.
And then they're going to...
They'll send you a menu, and then you have to pick one of those delicious flavors of chocolates, the minis, the bars, or the delicious gummies, or the capsules, whatever suits you.
And they're going to send it to you. And because you're part of the No Simple Road family, they are going to hook you up with a free goodie bag for the month of October.
I like goodie bags.
I have it on good authority that the goodie bag is filled with a lot of goodies. So, just saying.
You're giving away a lot there.
Yes.
Well,
you ruined the surprise.
Full of goodies.
What? There's goodies in my goodie bag?
Yep.
So, yeah, that's the thing. Go
more than one.
Go support them, man, because they're supporting us, and they are actually taking care of your head, and that's a good thing. And here we are. We're chilling.
A good thing. Take care of your head.
I'm going to be real with everybody. Today, I'm on the struggle bus. Aaron is riding shotgun on the struggle bus today.
Do you want to share your struggle bus episode?
Well, you know, when you have a podcast and you have to talk about stuff, sometimes you don't feel like you have anything to say. And today was one of those days. I was like telling Apple earlier, I'm like, when Mel gets home from work, we're going to do the rewind. I don't know what to talk about today. So that's where I'm at. Mel, help us out.
Well, you know, I was like, let's talk about something fucking deep then. We rarely bring it heavy. Why don't we talk about, I don't know, this is what I thought. And I had been wanting to talk about this for a while. I wanted to talk about forgiveness.
Oh, wow.
Because that, first of all, that could be a whole freaking series in itself.
Yeah,
but
it's a can of worms.
You know, like, we're in this highly, highly politically charged time right now. And a lot of people are saying a lot of dumbass shit to each other.
That's true.
You know, like really, really being mean and hurtful. And just a few months or years ago, we were all locked in our houses and couldn't wait to see each other.
That's totally true. Yeah.
Like, that's legit. And then the second we're able to do it, then we start being assholes again to each other.
Yeah, right back to it.
Yep, like nothing freaking...
And even a little fiercer, it seems like.
Oh, way fiercer because we had compassion, and then now we're like, fuck that shit. I want you out. I want, you know. So I didn't mean it just politically. It just because it's happening. I mentioned that I was talking about family. I was talking about friends. I was talking about people at work, like people that you interact with, and the act of forgiveness and how hard it can be, but also how cathartic it can be. To when you forgive somebody, you literally take the freaking shackles off of whatever memory or whatever incident happened, and you let that shit go.
Well,
and there's, let me just say this before you say your next thing. There's a lot of ways to forgive without needing to be in people's lives.
Well, what I was going to say is, if you're truly forgiving somebody for whatever the wrong is, does that mean that you're letting them off the hook?
No, that means you're letting yourself off the hook. Now every time you think about, I'm just going to make up a name, but like Andy, right? You think about Andy.
Fucking Andy.
And now you're all hot under the collar and pissed off.
Okay.
Andy doesn't even know you're thinking about him. He don't even know shit. He's going about his day, talking to his wife and his kids and work, and it ain't even phasing him. But you see something that reminds you of him, and now you're all hot again. You don't want to talk about it because you want to be like, oh, I'm cool. I don't want to bring it up. But it causes a physical reaction.
Yeah, and you're carrying that like tension and that anger
and your
resentment, your energy is all going towards that,
and you're reliving it. That's the thing. The memory's back. You're thinking about it again. You're refeeling it. You're like putting it back out there like it just happened, and it was like 2 years ago or like 2 months ago, or even if it was 2 weeks ago.
There's a lot of levels to this, right? I mean,
of course, that's why there's a discussion.
You can be seriously wronged by somebody, physically, emotionally, and to say, oh, just forgive them.
Well, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm talking about forgiveness as a word, as a thing to do, as it's a thing. Forgiveness is a thing.
So for yourself in your life, when you've been wronged by somebody, how do you start that path to forgiving them?
Well, starting the path, I think part of the path is getting pissed off and anger. It's like letting the emotion out. It's not acting like nothing happened. Sometimes in order to save face or be nice or not to rock the boat, people will keep shit inside that's been offensive to them. And then that person may do one more thing and that's it. Now we're not talking forever. That's it. I'm done. Like, that's not.
Well, I think on that note, like you're talking about too, like you started with saying a lot of people are doing and saying dumb shit and everything. And a lot of times they don't even realize it. Like I've had that, like where somebody says something and it pisses you off, and then you're carrying that and you're upset at that person and they have no idea. And then if you address it towards, if it's been festering for a week or two and you bring it up, like, dude, Andy, you did this. And then they're like, what? Most people usually feel sorry about it and had no idea. I think the filter on people a lot nowadays, that you say, I know I'm guilty of it once in a while. You just say something dumb and you don't think about it, but then somebody else takes that in and it hurts their feeling. Yeah.
Well, I think too that, like, again, depending on the level of the thing, it can, that's why I asked about letting them off the hook. It can feel like you're letting them off the hook when you forgive them. Like, it's okay, whatever they did, so now you've got to just let it go.
I feel like forgiveness doesn't have to happen with that person. Like, first of all, forgiveness is non-local.
Okay.
Think about that. It's nowhere. You either feel it or you don't.
True.
So that person has nothing to do with how you forgive them or don't.
So basically,
it's interior peace.
Yeah, you're letting go of your turmoil that's in you.
In a sense, forgiving yourself. And there's also levels of that too. When you do dumb I know I do that. When I mess something up or do something wrong, I'm my own worst critic.
Yes.
And I get on my shit. Sometimes it's hard to let something go that you did yourself, to like forgive yourself and get over it.
Shit, dude. I mean, like, that's a huge one.
Yeah, that's harder than forgiving somebody else, I think, a lot of times.
Yeah, because we keep all the records of wrong in our head about what we've done.
Yeah.
We barely let ourselves off the hook. And I don't mean that like universally, but that's a human condition where it's hard to like be, you know what? You did fuck up and you hurt some people and you said some awful stuff, but I forgive you inside. We're cool.
I'm not going to carry the pain of that anymore.
I think sometimes something needs to happen, like a mark in the sand, so that you can actually like that's it. Enough's enough. But sometimes it can be just an easy thing. Like, you know what? I'm not carrying that shit around anymore. And you just like let it go. And it comes up again. And you're like, nope, not doing that. I'm not talking about releasing responsibility if somebody like you said, there's degrees and there's absolutely, of course. But again, forgiveness doesn't mean that you need to let people in your life. It means that inside of your own head that you're not letting this chip away at your spirit.
Totally. The thing that I think of first for myself when this comes up
is the same thing I think about.
No, I think about like when I was in the depths of my addiction.
Oh, okay.
I was
definitely thinking about something else.
Yeah. And like all the awful shit that I did. And then years later, carrying the weight of all of those instances and circumstances and things. And like that stuff was eating me alive.
Yeah. Well, and you say carrying around the weight. I believe that it can get dense. Unforgiveness can become dense. First, it is a thing because it causes, if you're like, think about if that's like where you operate from, like you don't trust anybody, people have fucked you over, whatever, but that's like at the forefront. I can't imagine how nice you are to yourself at that point when you're always so skeptical of always watching over your back and waiting for somebody to drop the hammer or waiting for somebody to take advantage. That's a really hard place to be where you're good to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure people can pull it off, but we're human. And most of the time you can't.
And it makes it hard to operate
in
that space.
And in the instance that I'm talking about, like when I finally got to the point where I could forgive myself for that stuff, I still took responsibility for the things that happened, but I wasn't mentally punishing myself for it anymore. It was like, I remember I saw a picture of myself standing in our first apartment that we shared with your brother. And I looked like I had just come out of a concentration camp, like dark circles under my eyes. Cheeks were all hollow. And I looked like I was about to cry, but it was just a normal picture. And I remember it like really, it shook me. I was like, holy shit. If that was not me, if that was just somebody, I would be like, oh my God, that poor guy, he needs a fucking hug.
So do you remember what it was that made you see it different?
Time for me. And yeah, time was the thing. And when I saw that, I was like, not only did that guy need a hug, he was operating out of like self-preservation mode all the time and trying to like just survive through the emotional pain that he was going through. And he did a bunch of shit because he felt so fucked up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you understood it.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh my God, I have to forgive myself for that. Like,
yeah. A lot of times people don't understand why they got the offense or why they got wronged. And so that's one reason why you're pissed. You're like, what? I thought we were homies, or I thought you were going to do this, or I thought you had my back. We're not always privy to the reason why we were, had an offense, toward us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of times when you understand, like say you get T-boned and you're like, what the fuck? And you're not too hurt. You're banged up, but you got to get a new car and all this. You're pissed. And then you see this little old lady coming out of the driver's seat. She fucking
It was an accident.
It was an accident. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're hot under the collar and you're going to fucking, that's it. And you go and she's like, you know, got her little walker out with her fucking tennis balls. And you're like, what? I'm sorry, honey. I didn't, you know,
Totally.
like sometimes when you have understanding, forgiveness is easier, even if it hurts just the same.
Well, and then there's stuff that's happened with family members of mine over the years.
Well, that's what brought up my conversation.
Yeah, and
not just yours, but all of ours.
You know, if we don't talk anymore, and if you looked at that from the outside, you would think that like, oh, you don't talk to them anymore. You're still carrying around unforgiveness for the thing that happened.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, it's the opposite. I realize that they're who they are, and there's no anger or malice or like I'm not holding anything against them, but I realize that for me to be healthy and have real boundaries, that person isn't a good fit for my life. And I'm not mad at them. I'm not like wishing them ill. I'm not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it, but you're not part of my scene anymore, because what you brought to the table, it is
I don't
poison.
like it.
It's poison.
Yeah.
So
I don't like it.
but you're you, I'm me, and it's all good.
Yeah.
So it's hard. And especially I can't even imagine like people that have gone through, you know, horrifying abuse or, you know, physical, mental, sexual, whatever, how that would twist you up inside to carry that. You know what I mean? And what you have to go through to finally come to a place of forgiveness in your heart for somebody that's wronged you like that.
I don't know what it takes in that situation. I mean, I feel like by today's standards, I could say I had an abusive parent growing up, but she was mentally abusive, your mom. Yeah, but
For
like
real.
she was, I will admit that, but like even physically abusive, like she beat the shit out of me in front of people, you know, like that
shit would not fly right now.
Yeah, exactly. So by today's standards, that would but like this is how the steps that I took with my mom. First of all, you know that when we first got married, I stopped talking to her.
Yeah.
We didn't talk for like a year, you know, our first year of marriage, and that was it. And before that, I was like barely okay with her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout all these years, well, there was a time where I just had never confronted my mom because she would never allow it. She would just like get the louder voice, get the, you know,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Arms, the helicopter arms, and just
and she's not, even if she's not going to listen.
No, that's the main thing, right? That's
Porn,
what,
like,
yep.
No.
That's what I was building up to. It's like, even if I could get her attention, there was no listening. You're right. So it's like, okay, she's definitely had a lot of negative impact on me, but if I don't talk to her and if I have this hard relationship with her, everybody around me is also going to have that same type of relationship with her.
Yeah.
And it wasn't worth it to me.
And then you would bring that into your relationships with other people.
Well, it's hard not to, because like I'm upset with her. And so if somebody's like, oh, well, how's your mom? Well, there's heat there, you know? And so now I'm keeping it up. That's what I'm talking about, the unforgiveness. Like you're playing it out. That was in my childhood. Now I'm an adult with children. That I'm not receiving the same behavior from her. It's not continuing. And it's different. It's a little bit, you know. Yeah,
you've changed.
It's
on both sides.
Yes.
Have changed a lot.
Well, I think one of the big things is you learn to set boundaries.
Well, I mean, I had no choice. By me running away at 14 was a boundary. By me getting pregnant, that was a boundary. Like, oh, you always said that I needed to, like, you know, I'm trying to think about how she would say it. When you have kids, you can raise them how you want, but until then, you're my kid, and I can do and say whatever I want to.
I think a lot of parents say that.
So once I had a kid, fuck you. I'm a mom now. You can't do shit.
Deuces.
you know? And so like, that part was not conscious, but it was also my attitude. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I didn't go out and get pregnant so that I could put a middle finger to my mom.
Yeah, I'll show you.
I think I went out and got pregnant because there was other circumstances that were like, you know, kind of pushed me in a direction that I wasn't really making the smartest choices. She had a huge part in that, clearly. But I can't blame it all on her. That's not fair.
That's the taking responsibility part.
Yeah, that's not fair. But in a separate, you know, second incident, you know, my entire family, nobody talks to each other. Like, I talk with my uncle and his wife and his family and my mom, but there's a whole entire other side that I haven't talked to since before Simon was born.
Yeah, like, well,
since, I'll say that, since Simon was born. So 22 years now.
It's wild.
And that's the main reason that I started thinking about this, because I was like, thought about my brother, which I don't do very often. I don't really think about him too much, but I thought about him and I was just like, that is so lame. Like this entire lifetime, but it's also not, because I saw what you went through with your brother and how things were. And that was totally uncalled for. Like I was on the outside of that relationship. It wasn't me in there. That was like you guys.
Yeah, you weren't being directly wrong.
I was actually,
but it wasn't at you.
Well, it kind of was.
Well,
yeah. No, your brother was actually being really, really horrible to me. He was horrible to me. But what I mean is like all the ways that he treated you and all of that stuff, like that part didn't have to do with me. And like with my brother, my point was, I'd much rather have something that's absent than a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, sorry, Apple, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because it's
a little segue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
no, well,
it's about something I struggle with.
Okay.
Here's the
family.
thing with the situations that you and I are talking about. And,
yeah, because it has to do with our brothers, and that sucks, man. When you're raised with them, and then now you just don't have access to them at all. All those memories, they're just gone. You don't have nobody to talk to about them with. Like
that sucks.
I think about stuff that I wonder if really happened because it was only me and my brother were there, but nobody else could confirm that because he was the one.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like going back to realizing, you know, for myself, forgiving myself, everybody in the world, when they do something to hurt somebody, I mean, blanket statement, everybody in the world, most people, when they do something to hurt somebody else, they're operating from a place of misunderstanding and hurt in themselves from whatever happened to them down the line created them the way they are now. And so the deeper your level of compassion can be for somebody that's hurt you, the easier it is to let go of the anger towards them. Now, again, not letting them off the hook or the responsibility for treating you the way they treated you, but letting that thing re-hurt you over and over and over again.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Like you've got to understand that we're all imperfect human beings, and nobody's parents were perfect.
No, and unless this the offense is consistently happening, like it's still occurring, you know, that's a completely separate situation. But like forgiving them is not letting them off the hook. That shit did happen. And just because you don't see how they're getting theirs doesn't mean that they're not. And I believe in karma. I believe in energy, and like you put out energy and you're going to get certain energy. And I've seen it happen and play out in my own life, you know. I'm not saying, ooh, good, they're going to fucking, you know, I'm not like wishing.
You're not waiting for them to trip.
No, but I know that there's checks and balances in life. And if you take something, something's going to be taken from you. And if you give something, something's going to be given to you. And that's where you were asking earlier, like, how did I start to work through that like that? Mm-hmm. I started to get a little like, you know, through meditation, through doing stuff like that, and or talking to people, like you sometimes get epiphanies or realizations, or, you know, stuff just crosses your mind and you see things that maybe sometimes in a different way that you haven't. And that's happened to me a lot in the topic of forgiveness.
It's fucking hard especially when it's raw and fresh and it still hurts and the thing makes you want to cry or scream or feel like you want to punch them in the fucking mouth. Like, oh, I'm going to just forgive them.
Well, but it's not just.
Yeah.
You can't put that. I feel like just and forgiveness, those two don't go. Forgiveness is bold and it's strong and it takes a lot. It's not just I'm forgiving you. It's like I'm fucking doing everything against my natural inclination and forgiving this for me.
Wow. And that's what forgiving for you, because that's what I was going to bring up. The one I struggled with the most is my dad's entire side of the family. I have no communication with for a long time, like long time, some over a decade or so. And it's directly based on them being religious and judging me and telling me I'm going to hell and this and that, which I used to get very, very upset at that.
Yeah, I remember.
Let it get me really riled up.
That's rude.
Because I'm not a real religious person, and I know a lot about every religion because I always looked at that. But I used to get so pissed. It's like, I'm not religious, and I don't fucking judge you for being. And then it came to the realization just not too long ago when my uncle passed away, my dad's brother. He was very religious. He's one of the ones that really hurt my feelings because we were so close when I was younger. But becoming religious was like his thing. You know, you're then under the influence of that religion, which unfortunately a lot of religions, they teach that like you treat others that aren't like you badly.
Well, and also if you look at it from inside his head and his perspective, he's saying that shit to you because he loves you.
Yeah.
He's trying to turn the tide.
What he believes is the right thing, and it really fucked with me for a while. I mean, I didn't get to talk to him for the last couple of years of his life. Then he, had a heart attack and died very unexpectedly, and he's gone. And I can't do anything about that other than forgive myself and him. Like you just said, I had to let that go. Because like you just said, he was doing what he thought was right out of love and stuff. Thought that could influence me through his influence of religion. And it's a big thing on my dad's side of the family. My dad doesn't really talk to a lot of them. And that I struggled with that for a long time. I used to get very mad, like, fuck religion. It fucked them up. And but religion's also done a lot of good. I look like you guys when you guys first got married.
It's not religion's fault. It's people's fault.
Yeah.
Religion is like forgiveness. It's non-local. It's nowhere.
And I never addressed to them I got judged by them, but I was just like, fuck you, and I quit communicating.
But that is judgment.
And then I harbored it.
That is judgment, because you're like, well, fuck you guys are wrong.
But not towards, I never said that to them. I just quit talking to them. So then, like Mel was saying, now I'm carrying this and getting upset frequently. And they have no idea. And they have no idea that
they're fucking at the grocery store.
Pissed me off. And
Well, okay.
And I keep waiting for, I didn't do any wrong, and I've let it go. And for me, it's open. If you ever want to call, and you don't even need to apologize. It'd be nice to have an apology for a couple things in the past, but I don't expect that. Just like open line and go, like, you know what? We haven't talked in a long time. How are you doing? Yeah. But that's where I'm at that where I kind of draw on that like you did me wrong. I'm not reaching out. I don't have anything to say
because it's not healthy. It's not a healthy thing. All it does is cause
it could end in crap again, and then I'm upset. And
exactly. And with that forgiveness that you've come to in yourself, you've established a boundary so that you can stay that way. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Unforgiveness is okay too. What are you going to do? There's nothing who's going to come get you? You're not forgiving your dad.
Get yourself. You're the one that can't go to sleep.
Like, well, but you know what I'm saying is like from the outside, nothing's going to happen to you if you don't forgive. It's all interior.
And
all of it.
Another way that I've thought about it too is like, if I don't come to a place of like peace with the thing, whatever the offense is or whatever, then that person continually gets to get over on me over and over and over again.
Well,
like we're talking about, without even knowing it, they're at the freaking movies.
Well, I'm going to say this. There's multiple reasons why I could be really angry with my mom, from current to childhood. My mom doesn't stop offending.
No.
She doesn't.
Mm-mm.
But I have chosen to live my life in such where I see her with compassion instead of contempt.
Which is tough.
It's the fucking hardest thing
so
that
hard.
I do on a regular basis. That's like fucking benching 500 pounds with one arm. That's the equivalent emotionally, because she continues to... her being is offensive to me sometimes. Like her normal way of... She's not acting like anything different, but she's
a very spiky...
She's a spiky human being. And
yeah.
like, you know, when my uncle passed away, we had a whole thing there where I wasn't talking to her for months, and I had to, the only reason I was able to forgive her was because I literally heard my uncle's voice in my head. I heard him say it. He was so, my uncle was like, if it came up to my mom, he accepted her for all of her flaws. He knew them and was just like, yeah, she is. She's
and he was also very forthright with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I brought this thing up with my mom because I am always in a state of active forgiveness.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was an instance that happened, you know, for your birthday even, that we were just talking about. And I said,
it's so minor. I don't even really kind of want to talk about it. But that was, it's another example of like, she doesn't get it. And so how can I be mad if she doesn't even get it?
So
that's the compassion part. Like, she doesn't even fucking know she's been stepping on my toes. And when she's on my toes, she's like, oh, I thought you liked it.
Based on what you're saying and the conversation that we're having, it's not a one and done thing.
No.
It's a choice consistently.
Well, this is why this topic is complex, because it isn't just a one and done. Also, sometimes you do, like, you know what? I do forgive you for fucking, you know, selling my house out underneath me. And then it comes back maybe later on in your life where you thought you really did, and it doesn't bother you all the time, but then sometimes it comes up. Things can fester up later on. And I don't think it's like, oh, you didn't get the root out. Sometimes shit just comes back up and like you're upset about it again, you know? So that would be another reason why you would have to re-forgive that situation and be like, you know what? I already fucking went through this. I'm just pissed off again. Let me just move on. You know what I mean? Like, and go through with it. Go move it through your body.
I feel like if you have a lot of that in you, it could make you sick too.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a book out there, The Body Keeps the Score. And in this book, it talks about receiving traumas or things in our life. And when we have things that happen to us, our bodies react. So if you get punched, you're going to close your eyes and maybe flinch and like tense up.
Come around the corner, you go, and jump.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But that tension stays in our body, especially if we don't work it out through massage, through exercise, through movement, through breath work. Like there's lots of ways that we can actually move these things out, energy healing. And if you don't do that, you can get bound up and not realize why the fuck you're so you're like, oh, it's just normal. My shoulders are tight. Actually, nah, bruh. Your shoulders are not naturally tight. You're tight from something that you're holding on to. Most people don't know that. They don't even relate an incident that happened in their 20s to why their posture looks like that in their 50s.
I've seen these videos of these breathwork sessions, of somatic breathwork, where like these people are just like laying on the ground on a yoga mat with their head on a pillow, and the practitioner just has like their hand, they're not even touching the person. And these people are like full on sobbing and releasing these like stored traumas in their body.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's
real.
Wild.
That's real.
Have you seen that?
Yes, I have seen the videos you're talking about, and it's like, what is going on?
Well, I mean, even me and Apple, which I was thinking about it the other day, but we still really need to get to that rest of that. But like when we were at fair and I was like doing that work on Apple, I wasn't even trying to do anything like that. Something just came up and made me feel like, I was like, Apple, you look like shit. You look like you need this.
Thanks.
It wasn't anything that happened that day. It was something that was been
stuff that
there.
had been carrying along.
Been there. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, at that point, when you've been carrying something, it can be multiple things. It can, it's like when you have toilet paper on your shoe and then like fucking a little leaf goes on the toilet paper. Ew. And then like a little cotton, and you're walking and like your whole
Q-tip now.
Exactly.
You got a whole thing going on. It's snowballed.
When you hold on to something, it becomes kind of like a roadblock or a dam or something where things can build up, And so if you're not releasing or acknowledging or mentally letting go, all that shit stays inside of you.
And it's layer, and it keeps getting covered over.
That's what I was talking about. It gets dense.
Like an onion.
So from something that's a thought and a feeling, now it's becoming matter in your body. And that matter can become a mass. And that mass can become whatever, a knot in your back, cancer, a freaking whatever.
Well, that's the as above, so below, as within, so without.
Well,
that's where that you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's mind manifesting your entire life. So stands to reason that if you've got a bunch of turmoil, strife, anger, resentment, unforgiveness held inside,
those are just heavier emotions. So those become dense.
Yeah, those things are going to manifest in reality, in your body, in your relationships, in your whatever. I'm
in the middle of reading this book for the second time. It's by the authors Carolyn Meese, and it is.
You remember the author, not the name of the book?
Well, because it's something about intuitive healing.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I can't remember the name of it right this second, but it's about intuitive healing, and she is a medical intuitive. And
oh yeah, you told me about this.
She says she has a knack for telling people what's wrong with them. She can see a picture, she can see a name, she can just intuitively be like, oh, you've got hepatitis, or you have brain cancer, or whatever. She didn't ask for this gift. It wasn't something that she wanted. It came to her, and then she started to work with a physician in order to be able to explain better what she's seeing.
Can you imagine if that happened to you?
Well, she's talking about how to do it, and so I'm reading this book again. Like I said, it's a reread for the second time. I almost got the name of the book and then I forgot.
Almost there.
But what she was talking about was most people's physical problems and ailments are a spiritual problem, and they're not a physical problem. I'm not talking about, oh, you got into a car accident, you broke your back. Duh, that's something.
Yeah.
But our ailments, our things, even our cancer, whatever it is that we get, she's done so much work and in this realm that she's been able to find that it's our spirits are sick, or our spirits get toxic. And those are the things that cause our actions. The anatomy of the spirit
is the name of the book.
Yeah. But so that's like when I was younger, say like when I was like in my 20s, I didn't have that understanding. That was kind of like new wave or new age.
New age, yeah.
Like, very wooed. It was really hard for me to understand or wrap my head around that. And a lot of people are still feel that way. They think if they get sick, Well, somebody got me sick, or it's a germ, or I didn't get enough sleep. And sometimes those things are absolutely true. But a lot of times maybe you're constantly getting sick, or you're always fucking tired. No matter you get to sleep, you wake up, you're tired. You go to bed to get rejuvenated, you're still tired when you wake. Like, there's an energy issue. So all of this is leading to energy and spirit more than whatever you're literally being treated for. And I think that things like unforgiveness and like what you were saying, that kind of like the laundry list of those heavier emotions, I'm not saying we can't feel them. We do feel them. We absolutely, we feel them. It's not about letting or not letting. It's about acknowledging and then doing something about it. That's it. It's about, oh shit, I'm freaking been pissed for like weeks about this. I need to like let it go. And then you proceed to do whatever it is that you can do. Like, I don't know, man. When I'm in a bad mood, I have to withdraw for a little bit, and then I have to treat myself good. Like, those are the two things that kind of go hand in hand that allow me to digest what's happening. Like, I need to like get away from the thing or the topic, and then I need to like be like, I don't give myself a bath or a facial. Those are the two things that always make me feel better.
A little self-care.
Yeah, self-care. Or like go out for a walk or something like that. But it's got to, like, I have to have something that I'm putting back into myself, you know, in order to like get enough energy to let it go, to, you know, to like see it different. Yeah. To like, okay, I'm going to go through it instead of just lay in it and be in the mire of it.
Well, I think it's a great segue to talk about what we're getting ready to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, so
the other night was my birthday party.
Yeah. And we'll
talk about our party first, and then we'll get in there.
Go ahead.
Because it was fun. It was so fun. Yeah.
Thanks to everybody who came.
Thank you so much to everybody who was able to come and celebrate. It was so fun. Last Sunday, Simon came over with his fiance, and we had an awesome dinner, and he brought me some presents. He made some like his own blend of chai, like from scratch with loose herbs and things, and he knows how I like it, so like he hooked that up. And
custom chai for mom.
And just, you know, my favorite thing about birthdays is the conch. It really is. My favorite thing about having a celebration.
You got to explain to the people that are listening. It
is very cool.
I mean, you know, old school No Simple Roaders will know what I'm talking about, but new school No Simple Roaders may not. And so first of all, don't correct me. I already know
it's a conch.
It's our own thing, okay? It's our own thing where we've upgraded it. Before it was actual a conch shell. Yeah, before it was, but now whatever. It was
we used a plant.
We used a plant.
Yeah, it's now dictated by like what's around and we pick.
You know,
hold the bomb.
Hold the pen, whatever it is. But so we'll pass it around, and whoever's being celebrated, that person that has the item, the given item, will say what's special or how they feel or whatever it is this person has done to help them, you know, change or be better, or what they've seen, why you love them, why they're special. And hearing him and his fiance say what they said about me was really probably my favorite present I got, like for real. But so then, you know, my birthday was on a Tuesday this year, and, you know, it's kind of hard to do stuff on a Tuesday. It's literally the middle of my work week. Yeah. It's the beginning of everybody else's work week. And don't nobody want to go out on a Tuesday night. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't. And so Aaron made me a bomb steak dinner. And then we just like kicked it and went to bed early. Mm-hmm. Like legitimately.
Happy birthday.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was dope.
Well, but then that Friday, we planned on having, and last week I was like, I haven't been wanting to celebrate, blah, whatever I was saying. And
quickly decided.
I hate when you say that.
Well, but I kind of, I did feel like that. Like I felt like that. I was like, I don't want to. I didn't want to, like, you know, clean up. I didn't want to decorate. I didn't want to entertain.
You didn't want to deal with it.
I didn't want to, but I mean, it wasn't like I didn't want people around to hang out with. All the other stuff was what I didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but we did. We had this party on Friday, and it was amazing.
We had
it was
a Mediterranean potluck.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great. So it wasn't all on us. Everybody got to have fun and bring what, and there was no rule. It was just like Mediterranean. That's it. Like you could have whatever, dessert, not dessert, whatever you wanted. And it was great. It was complimentary. Everybody was so sweet and thoughtful and loving, and kind of like the cards are my favorite because that's where people kind of say what they would be saying out loud, but in a card. And Carter made me the most beautiful card, and it was just, it was amazing. I love celebrating. In this celebration, one of our great friends, Joe, who we've had on the show, Joe and Willow, have both graced us. Joe is a breath worker, and kind of one of the first times we met, he started to talk to us about it. I don't know if it was the first time, but one of them.
The first time he came to the house, he told me after, he said, I saw a vision of myself leading a breathe here at the house. And then over by our table, we have this little, it's like a figurine thing of a bunch of.
It's a candle holder.
It's a candle holder that I got at the consignment shop
4 or 5 like
years ago.
People holding hands in a circle, and you put candles in the middle. And he said that he had that vision, and then he looked over and saw that thing, and that thing, they have the exact same one that they use at their breeze to put in the middle of the circle. And at the end of Mel's party, Mel had gone to bed, and Joe and Willow and me and Apple were in the kitchen, and he was like, yeah, well, we should schedule a time for me to facilitate a breathwork session here at the house. And I was like, yeah, we'll get something on the calendar. And then I started doing something else. He's like, no, like now we should get something on the calendar.
Which I love people like that.
And I was like, oh shit.
Well, yeah. And that was like about 15 minutes of trying to, that's why I was like cleaning up after the party while you're doing it. And when you have people where everybody's got busy lives and a lot going on.
Oh gosh.
It was like this week. Nope. What about this? Nope. This day. I got a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm free on this day. Oh, our friend's doing a thing. Like it was like every day was like, oh, got a thing.
So we ended up with November 2nd at 4 p.m. here at our house. So if you're in Portland, we have space for 20 of you to come and do a breathwork session with us and Joe from Breathwave and his buddy that does facilitation as well. And it's a suggested donation of $40. If you can't do that, then we'll talk.
Suggested.
Yeah.
So
nobody's not coming because they can't afford it. It's just
No, this is going to be powerful when people start saying that they have visions or premonitions. I don't take that lightly. I like to. Well, first I always like to see who was saying it. That's But Joe, man, when we first met him, we all
loved him.
We all fell in love with him, and Willow too. Like, what? Look at these two. Where have they been?
Joe is he is like my favorite person. Friendship that came out of being in the cannabis industry, meeting him.
And a lot of people.
Meeting him, and then it took a while for me to finally get you guys introduced to him.
Yeah.
It was like, you heard me talk about Joe,
I remember you saying
Bryce knew him, and Bryce would tell you, and it was like, you got to meet Joe. And then when it finally happened,
well, the Flaming Lips, that was like the time that we really got to bond. And we didn't know that the Flaming Lips was his favorite band. And that night he was like, oh my God, my favorite band, And so to be able to see a show with somebody that's their favorite band, that they're so stoked on it, that was awesome. But I'm going to say I am so, 1, shocked, 2, grateful, and 3, excited. Shocked because that's something that I would book, and that's something that I would feel like I need to convince you guys to do. And for it not to come from me is my unanswered prayer.
Yeah, you're right.
It really
when
is.
I told you the next day, you're like, what?
I just didn't.
You what?
I once he started talking about that, I was like down the second he did that. Like the second he said that one, like months and months ago, I was like, oh yeah, let's fucking go for it. But like Apple was saying, we're out of town. We're at this festival. He's over there. Like there's so many reasons why like we just can't get it together. But me just being completely out of it and it happening at my birthday party, that was a present for me and from the gods.
And like I've done short breathes with Luke over Zoom. I have never participated in a facilitated breathwork session with a group of people. And so I am going in like with no expectation, don't know what's going to happen. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't know what. Me too.
Yeah, you're with the right people.
You're in the right
Same
company,
here.
man.
Well, I mean, I have never done this. I mean, I've done extensive and long yoga sessions and breathing sessions, but I've never done anything like this specifically. So I'm really looking forward to, sharing that in our home, with our homie. Like that's very special to me.
Yeah,
that's one thing I really like about it too, is that he saw it in this house, that it's our place that
inspired
brought it up and made him want to do it and everything. And that because we love our home and we love when we get to share it with people, and it's gonna be dope.
Yeah. So if you feel the call and you want to come hang out with us on November 2nd at 4:00. Hit me up at info@nosimpleroad.com and I will give you the details. And yeah, spread the word if you've got some friends that you want to bring along or whatever.
Well, this is really cool because so that happened on Friday. I didn't know that at all. Then I went to work the next day because I had that event that I had mentioned a few weeks back at my the clinic that I'm working at.
Mm-hmm.
And I facilitated a breath meditation that day and brought my gong, and it really made an impact to the people that were there. The whole talk was about skincare and what I do for a living and everything, and to be able to help people understand what I do using something that is not on the face was really powerful, because breathing helps you look dope, like for reals. When you breathe and have extensive pranayama sessions or breathwork sessions, you're moving so much oxygen into the body, and you are also increasing circulation to such a point where it's like everything's working on such a higher scale. It makes your skin dewy. It makes you have an inner glow. It helps to move blockages out. Like there's so many, many, many benefits from something that you already do. Even while you're listening right now, you're doing it. Yep. It's not like pee or poop where it's a few times a day. You're doing this all day.
Yeah, if you're breathing a few times a day, something's wrong.
No. You're breathing all the time.
It's so powerful because the something that doing this stuff with Luke kind of reminded me of. I knew it before though, and that practice of like when you're really upset. I was at a dispensary the other day, and this sweet bud tender was very upset with something going on. I don't really know what. She was upset with somebody, and she's like, Apple, you're like older. What do you do? Like when you get upset with something, what is something you can do to like calm yourself down in the moment and stuff? And I was like, she was getting ready to go on her like 10-minute break. And I was like, when you go outside, and she was going out like me with stress or being upset, she was going to go have a cigarette and take her break. And I was like, you know what you do before you go out there and have your cigarette? You stop. I was like, close your eyes or not, but like shut your mind off and do 10 deep breath. I like show it like through the nose, out the mouth. And I was like 10 times. And she's like, okay, like whatever, like kind of like, okay, I'll do that. She went on her break and came back and everything, was like, thank you so much. She's all that, like, it refocused me. She's all, I was so mad. And then I was able to think about it differently. I was like, you oxygenated yourself. Mm-hmm. You got all that it is like a reset.
Yeah.
But we're so accustomed as humans to thinking that we need so many grand gestures to help us feel better, when it's really just small things like I'm sorry or
a substance.
Breathe. Yes.
Nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, drugs,
sex, whatever.
I what can I take for this? It's like, well, sometimes the simplest thing is right there.
Sit down in quiet and don't say nothing. Like literally closing your eyes. Think about that. Like when you're, especially for anxiety, like you get anxiety, like people get that like with people around, you know, like they're in a space and there's lots of shit. Pulling yourself to the side and just closing your eyes for a minute.
Focus on your breath.
That does so much to just stop that, you know, the scale from like, you know, going back and forth, up and down, left and right. Like it neutralizes it.
And for this thing that we're going to do, man, like Joe is the perfect person for us because he's not like, I am a guru and fucking some, you know.
Well, if y'all haven't realized,
he's just one of us.
If you haven't realized out there, being 50 in your 50s and in your late 40s, like we have definitely not seen it all, but we've seen quite a bit.
We've seen some things.
And it's easy to be skeptical because, you know, some people just want to pull the wool over your eyes, or some people think that they know something, but they really don't. Or some people have bad intentions, or, you know what I mean? Like, or there's a million reasons. And so when it comes to things of the spiritual nature, religion, politics, all of those things, there's a lot of skepticism in No Simple Road because of that. And I think it's a healthy skepticism because we don't keep it if we don't keep seeing it.
Totally.
I feel like that with all three of us. I spoke for all of us, but I really have seen all of us have released something that we were possibly skeptical about, but then we got shown better.
Yeah.
And now we're like, oh, okay.
Hey man, I'm not too old to learn new tricks.
Yeah.
Man.
Instead of being like indignant though, like, no, because that's a trait that people do. Like, oh no, that's it. I'm not gonna, you know, let them live it down.
So I'm not saying that this can help you, you know, find forgiveness for something that you've been holding on to or anything like that. But, you know, breath work can help you work through your stuff. And it kind of went along with what we were talking about today. And so you're all invited. You know, hit me up, info@nosimpleroad.com.
I already got somebody from work coming.
And yeah, we will be back on Friday. Yeah, with another episode of regular old No Simple Road. And yeah, man, just be kind to yourself and follow the one rule that we have around here. Well, there was a bunch of rules from the other day, but there's just one real rule around here, and it's just don't be a dick. And that means to yourself too.
Yeah, especially to yourself.
Yeah.
If you're a dick to yourself, then you're not good for
Aaron,
anybody.
how was that by your standards? You didn't know what to talk about, brought up a topic. How'd you feel about it? 10
of 10 would recommend. Yeah. Good job, baby. Yeah, I gotta go hook up our pizza dough.
All right.
Pizza dough.
All right, everybody. We love y'all. Until next time, take care of each other, smile at a stranger, safety third, hydrate, and just
forgive yourself for something.
Man, it goes a long way. We love y'all. Peace.
Breathe.
But it's a burden. Felony just been deferred, and hella means been the earth, and alchemy can bring the birth, the melody of a newborn. So persistent, so resistant, so insistent, so commitment, so resilient, or haven't you learned it? Still, no simple road. 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 My windshield is shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The react is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A=A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
Hi, this is Henry Kay, host of the #1 music history podcast, Rootsland. Come with me on a journey to Kingston, Jamaica, where we explore the world of reggae music and the untold stories of some of the genre's greatest legends. From the ghettos and tenement yards where the music was born, to the island's iconic recording studios. We are so excited to team up with Osiris Media, the leading storyteller in music, because as you'll hear, sometimes the story is the best song.